Mariners win 6-4. They take 3 of 4 against the Kansas City Royals. They've won 3 straight, and they improve to 66-55 on the season. 11 games over 500 for the second time this year. Quickly go over how it happened. Julio Rodriguez, who I think we might talk about a couple times on this show, gives the Mariners a 1-0 lead with a single that scores Jose Caballero. Velasquez homers to center in the fourth to get the Royals on the board to make it 1-1. That Julio guy, who I think we might talk about a couple times on this podcast. I don't know why I just called it a podcast. I don't know why I did the same thing I just said. Maybe it's because I'm very funny. Julio Rodriguez doubles home Kid Marlowe. Canzone is thrown out at home, but it does give the Mariners a 2-1 lead. Sixth inning, Royals start to get to Kirby. Massey singles home Bobby Witt Jr. May I never see Bobby Witt Jr. play against the Seattle Mariners again. MJ Melendez doubles home Michael Massey. And then Fermin sacrificed into double play is what they called that. But the run scores to make it 4-2. Eighth inning, 2 runners on. Julio Rodriguez, every adjective you want to use, destroys a baseball, 5-4. And then Big Dumper adds some insurance with a homer in the ninth to make it 6-4. Matt Brash gets the save. Before we get into positives, before we get into negatives, let's start with the ultimate positive. And the ultimate positive, folks, is simply Seattle. Anything you're looking for Seattle related, they've got it. And I especially, if you're a Washington Husky fan, and you should be. I mean, if you're a Cougar fan, that's fine too. We welcome all on this show. They've got some amazing Don James style hats that I am absolutely in love with. I just ordered one myself, along with I've been waiting to get a Michael Penix shirt. I got that big Penix energy. Very careful saying that one on this show. Can't wait to get those. And you know what the best part is? They come so quick. And now it certainly helps that I don't live far away from these guys, but they ship so quickly and they take care of your stuff as well as anybody. They have everything you're looking for. Seahawks, Kraken, Sonics, of course, Mariners, of course, Rainiers, of course, Sounders, of course, Storm. Anything you're looking for, you can get at Simply Seattle. And anything you're looking for, you can get 15% off by using code MOLLYWOP15. That's special just from me to you. MOLLYWHOP15, one word. Go to simplyseattle.com. They've got everything, and we cannot thank Simply Seattle enough for sponsoring this show. All right. Want to apologize. You probably heard, oh, there it goes right there. I have a smoke alarm that's battery is dying, and I can't reach it right now, and I don't have a ladder. So I'm waiting for somebody to come over with that, and I'm keeping a close eye to make sure this place doesn't burn down. So I apologize for some beeping that you hear. You guys hear all sorts of weird stuff in this show, and you haven't minded so much, but just in case, apologies. This was not the best played game by anybody. And my buddy texted me and said, thank goodness they were playing the Royals because I'm not sure if they win any other game against any other team. Well, I think there's a couple that they probably could have beaten, but honestly, this was pretty ugly. And it's one of those games that's pretty ugly, but you're still awfully happy to get the win, right? It's great to win this series, especially after you lose the first one, especially after you lose the first one the way you did and how you almost lost the last two, right? So we are appreciative here. We are going to talk about it, and we'll point out the negatives. The base running today was awful. Julio did not have his best base running game, but we're not going to focus hard on that at all. Dylan Moore, not his best, not his best base running game. And the offense had some real struggles today too, even with 6 runs. One guy didn't. Ty France had a tough game. Bright O'Keefe, who, by the way, we did not talk about Tom Murphy going on the injured list. It's a pretty big loss. Tom Murphy is a guy I want in the lineup against left-handed pitching, especially right now. Brian O'Keefe has hit the minors fine, but he's not somebody I'm trusting as a everyday backstop. And he's basically, at this point, it's Cal Raleigh getting rest. That's the only reason you're using Brian O'Keefe until Murphy comes back. And here's hoping it soon. Hagerty, bad. Canzone probably, I didn't get a great look at the play, but didn't look like he got the greatest jump getting to home plate on that play. Would have been nice to have that extra insurance run. The offense wasn't great. And neither was George Kirby. Although I thought George Kirby was pretty darn good for the first 3 innings, took advantage of Kansas City's aggressiveness. It just kind of bit him in the sixth. And it's disappointing he's only able to go 6 innings despite only throwing 73 pitches. It's a little surprised they didn't give him an extra inning. Kirby was due to have a mediocre start. And this is what this is. It's mediocre. 6 innings of 4-run baseball. If you do it every time, it's an ERA of 6. It'd be one of those weird things where it's like, if he's your 5th starter and it's like, you guarantee you give me 6 innings of 4-run baseball, you wouldn't be that upset. But it's not what you're signing up for from the guy that a lot of people think is the ace of the staff right now. I disagree. I still think it's Luis Castillo, but you can make that argument. All things considered, I think both Castillo and Kirby today are in their last 2 starts far from dominant. Kansas City obviously playing a lot better offensively. Bobby Witt Jr., goodness gracious, what a star that guy is. Disappointing, but good for them for at least getting them some innings because they needed it. And the bullpen was really good today. Let's get into those positives. Isaiah Campbell pitched really well. I thought it was his first win. It's actually his third. Whatever. Trent Thornton, nice job today. And then Matt Brash takes advantage of just an unbelievably aggressive lineup, but gets the strikeout, doesn't give up any hits. Outside of the homer, and that's a big thing. You can't just take away homers. Outside of the homer, I thought Brash has pitched really well those last 2 games, and would not doubt if he's the guy who gets a lot of save chances down the stretch. Just because I don't think Munoz looks like the same pitcher right now. Doesn't look like the same guy to me. Positives. Congratulations to Big Dumper on another homer. Guy's awesome. It comes off the bench, of course, but we don't care. Cade Marlowe had a really nice game too. Reaches 3 times, scores a couple of runs. Nice to see because he'd been kind of scuffling a little bit, starting to show the ups and downs of a rookie. So nice to have a nice little bounce back game there for sure. Any other positives I want to talk about before? Gino draws a couple of walks. By the way, Teoscar was really bad today too. He does have a double, but he strikes out 3 times. Not a great game after after the nice off effort he made the day before. But yeah, let's just get into it. What a gosh dang superstar Julio Rodriguez is. You can't say he individually won you the game because you can't say that in baseball for anyone. Maybe Ohtani. Maybe Ohtani could be the exception that he can actually be the person who literally wins you the game. But Julio came awfully close today. Julio came awfully close. I mean, that home run, that ball was scorched. Scorched. They say 438. It sure feels like it went further than that, man. He absolutely mollywopped that thing. And then he gets another extra base hit and a couple more singles as well. What a star. What an absolute star. And folks, I'm going to bring it up all year. And all I'm going to do next year is add 1. He's 22 years old. This is a 22-year-old. This is a 22-year-old who's already one of the best stolen base threats in the American League. This is a 22-year-old who's already one of the best defensive outfielders in the American League, if not all of baseball. This is a 22-year-old who we're disappointed has a line of 269, 329, 451. As a 22-year-old. Oh, it's scary to think how good this dude's going to be. There's going to have to be some adjustments. I think you've seen some of them too. And don't get me wrong, Kansas City's pitching staff is atrocious. But you go 12 for 21 over a series, you're good. You're having a good time. 12 for 21 against anybody is really good, folks. I talked about it a few episodes ago. We are so blessed to get to watch this guy play every day. and they needed that homer. I mean, disaster would be too strong, but a series split here would have been ugly. Ugly. And Julio carried you. Julio absolutely carried you today, Seattle Mariners. And let's remember games like this when there are the 0 for 5s and he's trying to do too much. Right? Baseball's hard. Other teams are trying. But man, oh man. I'm so thankful to get to watch Julio Rodriguez. We have spent a long time now. Look, we had Felix Hernandez, but we had to wait every 5 days for Felix Hernandez. Not Felix's fault. That's the way baseball works. I said that like, oh, that Felix only pitching every 5th day. It's been a while since we've had this type of player. Robinson Cano was pretty close. I think people forget how good he was a couple of years. Boomstick was an awful lot of fun. But the last time I felt like this about a player is probably Ichiro. Like it's been that long. And even Ichiro, I'm not going to say anything negative about Ichiro, but he didn't have this. There was always the jokes about he could hit 30 home runs if he wanted to, but that's not the type of player he was. And maybe that's true. I've seen him in BP hit some absolute moonshots. But he didn't do it in the games. He was a guy that you had to have good players behind Ichiro. You have to have good players behind everybody, don't get me wrong. But the ability to drive in himself and to steal the bases and to play the great defense. Mariners haven't had that. Got that. And they got that for a long time. And I am going to keep mentioning it because I love it. I love it an awful lot. And now you got 3 big old ones coming against those lovable Houston Astros. I think it's Bryce Miller tomorrow. Waiting for the schedule to pop up. Good podcast or whatever the heck you call this thing would have it already up. That's what you say. Bryce Miller against JP France. So let's just go over the 3 real quick. Bryce Miller, JP France, tie. Logan Gilbert, Framber Valdez, advantage Valdez just because Valdez is so good. And then Emerson Hancock, Hunter Brown, advantage Brown. I'd really like to win this series. I mean, it's not necessary after you took 3 of 4. Can't get swept. But man, if you could go 5-2 on this road trip, or 5-2 on this portion of the road trip, because then you go play Chicago, who sucks. Going 5-2 through this stretch, that would be a great week, wouldn't it? And they can do it. They can do it. They'll have to play better than they did over these 4 games. But they certainly can do it, and it would be massive to do it too. Not asking for a sweep, but I'll tell you this. If you get a sweep here, then you can start talking about wild card 2. And at some point, we're going to have to start talking about whether or not the Seattle Mariners want wild card 2. Now, what they should want, of course, is to win the division somehow. It's going to take so much. Probably not going to happen. But there is a massive advantage, I think, to being wild card 3 compared to wild card 2. And it was true last year, too. I would much rather play the Twins than I would like to play whoever loses between Baltimore and Tampa Bay. But beggars can't be choosers. Let's just get in this thing, right? And now you're only a game and a half back, 1 win back, I believe, or maybe it's 2 of the Toronto Blue Jays. Awesome. Awesome. And if you want to be negative, you can say, hey, what if you win on Monday? I'm not going to be negative today because I got to watch Julio gosh dang Rodriguez do what he did today. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. I can't believe we already got to 750, folks. It means so much that you guys have shown your support. The view counts keep rising. Got 1,000 on one of these videos lately. I think that might have been a little bit of a fluke, to be honest, but that sure felt good. Um, that that makes me very happy, and I really, really appreciate it. But keep telling your friends because we got to get to that 1,000 so I can make some money. Daddy needs card money. Follow me on that website at Crawford_MILB. Blue Sky at Crawford Chris V. Need to start using that more. RotoWire Fantasy Baseball. Sports sometimes. We had to push back. But we'll definitely have 2 episodes this month, as we do every month. Really excited to talk to my buddy Levi Weaver. And Sportstopia is coming. I'm really excited for it, and you'll see a bunch of links to all that stuff as we get closer. Julio Rodriguez, man. We're so lucky.